Number 8. All right. Number 9, echo. Number 9, echo. Number 10, therapuo. 10, therapuo. This is where we get our English word therapy. I remember when I broke my hand, I had to go to occupational therapy for like 3 months, and it really helped in the healing process. Number 11, Caruso. Caruso. This is my favorite thing to do. Some people won't let me stand behind the pulpit because they're afraid that I will Caruso. I have been in churches where they're like, you just stand on the ground. Okay. Number 12, luo. Luo. John the Baptist said about Jesus, I am not worthy to luo his shoe. Of whose shoe I am not worthy to luo, I think. Number 13, peso. Peso, some, peso, and pesos. Pesos is Mexican money and other Spanish-speaking countries. Peso. 14, tempo. Post office. Pomp and circumstance. 15, skewo. Skewo. 16, sozo. Soteriology. Sozo. 17, Amy. I'm Amy. May. 19, ooh.
Can you repeat 15?
15, yes. 15 is skewo. Skewo. Any others that you'd like for me to repeat? 16, sozo. Sozo. Soteriology, which is the doctrine of I know, I can't finish it. Sozo. Number 9, echo. If you are in a cave, you are talking, you will echo and echo. Sorry.
What's 6?
Number 6, didasco. Didasco. 15, spulo. I don't know if I told it to you guys with the issue. I didn't give it to you guys, but it's 13. Peso. Some peso and pesos. We don't want peso and pesos. We want peso in the Lord. A minute and a half longer.
Question.
Yes.
Could you put 18 and 19 in a sentence?
18 and 19?
Mm-hmm.
18 and 19 are synonymous.
Yeah, so it's trying to figure out the difference
Yeah.
between
These are even more than synonymous. I can't think of the word right now. I need more coffee. Like, words are just not in my brain, which is bad when you're teaching, you know. Ooh, you may not do that. That didn't help. Ooh, you may not do that.
Is that the second one? Was that the second one?
That is both of them combined because these words both have the same definition. They're different words, but they have the same definition. So, ooh, you may not do that. All right, I'll go ahead and collect your quizzes. Pass them to the aisle, please. Anyone unpack your turning in their quizzes? Thank you. Okay. Thank you for being honest. Can you hand me that? All right, so how did we do on that? Good? Everyone did great? Yeah? Good, all right. Do we have our homework? Homework from the last couple of weeks, because I was very kind. I gave you 2 weeks to do it, right? We're actually not gonna turn it in. I'm gonna check it, but we're gonna go over it together to make sure you all did it right. All right. So this is number 1 on page 24. We had 3 sentences to translate. What's interesting in Greek is you can have a sentence that consists of only one word, because that word has the subject and the verb. Just in one word, which is cool. Like in English, we could say go, because the subject is implied, but Greek's just better than English. Does everyone agree with that?
No.
You'll get there. You'll get there. All right. Can I please have a volunteer to come up? Ms. Teresa, come on up. So what we have to do with each sentence, each word that we interact with in Greek is we have to parse it. Who remembers what it means to parse something? Okay? To break it down, right? So we have to break down each of these words. So what are we looking for in a verb? We need 5 parts of a verb. What are they? Yes. Okay. Tense.
I had it.
You had it. You lost it. All right. Jada? Yes. Tense, voice, mood, person, number. What tense have we learned? What voice have we learned? What mood have we learned? What persons have we learned? And what numbers have we learned? Very good. So we're looking for tense, voice, mood, person, number. And then we also need the lexical form of the word. What is the lexical form? Olivia? What you can find in the dictionary, exactly. And so we're going to go over a little bit more today how we'll identify the lexical form. We need the lexical form, and then we need the translation into English, right? Which is what we're doing. So yeah, pretty easy. Ms. Teresa, would you like to parse the first word for us? Blephaes. Parse, so break it down. So you identify. Sorry, you can write to the side or just wherever you need to.
So.
First we need tense.
I don't know.
Okay, so remember we have O, ace, A.
Yes.
So ace would be second person singular. So to parse this, you would say it's present, active, indicative. So P-A-I.
And then
Second person singular. And then from blepho. From blepho. Yeah, so maybe, I'm sorry, I called you up too soon.
okay.
Sorry.
No, I just know it's C's.
Yes, it is C's. All right, so when you have a word, what you're going to do is you're going to identify the tense, voice, mood, person, and number, right? We all know that much. So what is the tense of blephaes? Kate, how do you know that? It's the one that we learned. Also, ace is only ever a present verb ending. Okay? Does everyone understand that? All right, so what is the voice, Shandy? Active, middle, passive? Active, yes. Why is it active? The ace ending, right? So the ace ending is only ever a present active verb ending. Does that make sense? All right, so Olivia, what would the mood be? Indicative, how do you know that? It's the only one you learned, but also ace is only ever a present active indicative verb ending. Okay, ace will not be anything else other than present active indicative. Does that make sense? Yes, all right. So what is the person of blephaes, Matthew? Second, how do you know that? The ending is ace, and O, ace, right? So ace is second person. And then Brogan, what is the number? Singular, how do you know that? Ace, right? So ace, everyone say it with me. Ace is only ever a present active indicative second person singular verb ending. Okay, does that make sense? Mr. Stephen looks angry. Okay, so ace is only ever present active indicative second person singular. When you see ace, you should just know present active indicative second singular. PAI2S, right? Now I know that for me that's easy to say because I've been doing this for a long time. But for you, you have charts, right? And when you're doing your homework, you can look in your book. It's page 18, which is something else I need to mention. In your book on page 18, we have the chart, O ace A, Amen Eta Usi. You might have looked at that and said, that's not what Ms. Kratzer taught us because it says O ace A, not Ms. Kratzer, I'm sorry, you don't. Men te usi. All right, so we remember it, we memorize it as Amen Eta. So there is always what they call a connecting vowel. I memorize it with the connecting vowel because it's always there and it's easier to memorize. Okay, so if you see that, if you want to, you can even write in your book an omicron before the men, an epsilon before the te, so you have Amen Eta Usi. All right? Good. All right, so
Where at?
on page 18 at the top chart. All right, so left base, we have present active indicative, second person singular. The lexical form of this is, what is the lexical form? Yes, it is, Olivia, thank you. Okay, so we would just write from blepo. But how do we identify the lexical form? Noah, do you know? Do you know how to identify a lexical form? No. All right. So you'll go back to the word that you're looking at. In this case, we're looking at blephase. We know that the epsilon iota sigma is the verb ending. So we can just cross that out, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want to. All right. So we have blephase. But we know that that ace isn't what we would find in the dictionary. You cannot go to a lexicon in Greek and look up blephase and find anything for it. Okay, if you do, you will not find it and you'll get frustrated and cry. All right, but you can go to the lexicon and look up blep and see what happens, and you'll find blepo, because with verbs, they always take the most basic form, which is the present active indicative first person singular. And what is the present active indicative first person singular ending? O. O. So remember, O, ace, a, amen, eta, usi, right? Let's all say them together. Everyone stand up. If I have to do this, you have to do it, okay? Ready? O, ace, a, amen, eta, usi. 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 O, ace, a, amen, eta. All right, sit down, good. So O, ace, a, amen, eta, usi. O is always the present active indicative first person singular. Okay, so I see, I hear, I baptize. So the lexical form is going to be the root, which is just whatever comes before the ending. So in this case, blep. All right, so if we look at graphase, what would the root of graphase be? Ben? Just graph, right? So we can draw that line there.
He did not say that.
What did he say?
No, I said
Liar. Liar.
All right, so we have graphase. We know that ace is a verb ending, right? What person and number is ace? Second, singular or plural? Second singular, very good. So we could just disconnect those and say we have the root, graph, we have the ending ace. And so what we're going to find in the lexicon is graph O, okay, because it takes the first person singular ending, which is O. So if you look at your vocabulary list, all of the verbs listed are ago, akuo, baptizo, sozo, right? It all has that O ending because they mean I do this action. Okay, so that's what you'll find. If you look at in the back of your book at the lexicon, it's the same situation. Any verb, as you go through, we see ago, I row, I te-o, all the way through that we have that omega ending, okay? Is this making more sense? Okay, so how do we find the lexical form? Go to the roots, yes. So this is very important that we understand this.
Now, the verb chart in the way back of the book, they do put the O and the E in the front, like what you just told us to add.
Right, yes. Yeah, I don't know why it's not in there. It's one of those things I wish I could go in and change it, but I can't. All right, so what would be the lexical form of this verb up here? Kate, what would be, guys, pay attention, please. What would be the lexical form of this verb? Lepo. Jandy. Lexical form of graphates. Very good. Olivia, lexical form of pimpates. Lexical form. Lexical form. So how would we find this in the dictionary? Tempo. Very good. Matthew. Age. Ago. Baptize. Lue. Jada, akuamen. Hetoi madzamen. Hetoi madzamen. Hetoi madzamen. I can't say it. Hetoi madzamen. It would be hetoi madzo, right? Because we take off the amen ending and the first singular ending goes on. So hetoi madzo. This is a hard word to say. So yeah, good job. All right. Ben, histuamen. Histuamen. Histuo, yeah, very good. Olivia, or no, I'm sorry, Emily. Akuete. Akuo. Loosen.
Are you asking me?
The lexical form.
I don't know if I do. Right.
Yeah, that would be the translation. So how would we, Stephen, do you know?
Luzo.
Luo.
Luo.
Yeah, so the usin,
I heard it. Yours. I see.
yeah. And so what we have here is a movable nu. So this nu here, sometimes it's there for usi, so we can say usi or usin. We memorize it as usi. But if it's going before another word that starts with a vowel, they will add that nu there so that it doesn't just all run together. Okay, does that make sense? So if you look on the exercises on page 25, number 6 at the top, we have an example of this. This happens sometimes, they'll add in a kappa or a nu. So up there we have uk aku usin. Uk aku usin. So we don't know what uk is, do we? No, but uk is a form of u, which means not. And they add that kappa there because the next word, aku usin, starts with a vowel. So instead of saying u aku usin, you say uk aku usin to add separation. So it's what's called, if you want the linguistic explanation, it's what's called a phonotactic constraint. Okay, so a phonotactic constraint, phonology is the study of how sounds come together. In most languages, they have rules of, some languages, if there is a consonant, there has to be a vowel, like the Hawaiian language. Mele kaliki maka is Merry Christmas, and that is a transliteration of Merry Christmas. But in Hawaiian, they don't have the same sounds that we have, and they have to have a vowel. So they have mele kaliki maka. So those phonotactic constraints are saying you have to have consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel. Whereas English, we can have consonant, vowel, vowel, consonant. We can have vowel, consonant, consonant, vowel. But we have certain consonants that can't stand together, right? So Are there any words in English that you can think of that have a CX right next to each other? CX. No, because those sounds don't go together. Phonotactic constraints are very helpful to know if you play those word games where you get to like use all the letters and come up with the words. And you're like, well, we know that these aren't going to be at the beginning because those can't stand together. This is the whole nerdy thing. But so phonotactic constraints. And Greek has the same thing where, you know, we have this word, uk, aku, usin. That's a whole bunch of vowels all next to each other. And so in order to separate that and show these are two separate words, we're not all together, they add in that phonotactic constraint of a kappa or a nu has to be added at the end. Does that make sense? If you would like a further explanation of Mele Kalikimaka at a later time, I would love to share it with you because it is fascinating. So that's my plug for linguistics. All right, we are going to take a 10-minute break and then come back. Yes.
So they added a new at the end of that one, and they added a kappa at the end of the one on the top.
On 25.
Right. Is there a reason?
Usi will never take a kappa at the end. It's just for this ending, there's just a nu. It's
So
just,
do they always do a new with usi?
yes,
Or,
always a nu with Usi.
and with
For
u, is it
uk,
always a K?
It will always be a kappa, yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, go ready to take a break.
Are there other consonants between, instead of N and K that are used to divide the
I
vowels?
actually could have better shirt. Right? All old ladies are so much trash. Apparently, I thought it was
Not that I
last
can
week.
think of off the top of my head.
2 weeks ago.
But those are the regular ones that we.
Yeah.
Freaked me out. I'm like,
Because I put PTO in at work, I put that off. I asked like all the wrong dates off.
Huh?
I did.
Oh,
I think I'm okay.
go try.
no, but if you would have been here, at
Oh my
this point, you would know.
Okay, so that tense is like present.
Oh, that's good.
Which thing that's gonna say about picking the churches?
I didn't even want you
Are
yet.
you, I deleted my Instagram. Are you serious?
I deleted it.
I did. It was so good. It said you read it. Yeah.
You sent me a text. I didn't think of it.
Yeah. Or is this a It's just ministry.
Oh, no.
Favorite TFM solution.
And then the moves.
Oh,
I was like, you know what? So I need to watch my video recently. I just had that thought.
She hasn't really gone into
I had like 4 learners and everything.
just that these tenses are always present.
That's so stupid.
Always and always needed. Those three. So the
Mute yourself.
Try to go off ESPN.
those are present.
They gave us present and this is present.
Oh, yeah.
This is future. We
We
didn't
did
do any of
not.
the futures. That's right. Everything else is active and we did it. The these were.
But that's okay. You don't use, I don't use.
We might have actually,
have a YouTube channel?
I think it's better. There's no script.
it's not.
No.
No, there's no script. I'm serious.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is.
I need to get a script.
Is it a bird?
Yes, or
So, and then the next part is two, that means line shift.
What a jerk.
And it's C, because we have,
I'm trying to find it.
it's C. So it's always gonna be 1, 2, 3. And two are gonna be single.
You know what?
Me.
No.
Mix a Catholic church in our area. TFM. We don't have our own.
No. Such a moron.
Did you do the trans meeting or no? Did you do that one?
Yeah.
So, I mean, my question is,
There was no recommendation.
Right, so then.
There was no recommendation.
You just make it sound.
Just ignore it.
I didn't know if it was like,
I was like,
or not.
I wasn't with them.
I didn't know what she wanted us to put there, that was my
And
thing.
when I asked her about that, she said, we have, I mean, what we have
Yeah,
to
no,
have
it
is
was
for right now, because that's. So eventually, you'll get to the point where, to make it not sound, yeah. So.
What's our family? What's our
Yeah, it's really, that
Ooh,
makes sense.
it's our family's only. I got my dad a shirt for Christmas that's Purple Folk #7. We only wear it to Gunther
So
in
it's
summer.
like a story.
It's not wearing
Yeah,
it.
so it's.
That was our only family secret.
Right.
After the
He not was having to be in the middle. That was my question
Right.
here.
Yeah,
And you do not.
but I
That
think
was my,
she's gonna go with the
that's why I
knots.
was, that's why I didn't do, I was gonna, I didn't wanna do them all wrong.
Yeah, the knots are. the
That's
part-
what, right, the other ones were easy. That's over there, but I'm like, wait, I don't know if I'm doing this right or not. And
She was 2 hours to do that.
I have a problem is that I always use her, what does she want? So, I don't like to do anything, but then what the next two, what order?
The next two things are.
Oh, I know. Oh, I just
Bring that up
what
last
order
night.
she wants it. That's my thing. I can write it out like.
This is,
But I just write
Such a moron.
PAI 2S or PAIS 2.
That's gonna be the
I don't
one
know
on
which order she
the
wants it.
pastor.
Right.
That's like my favorite thing.
That's the.
I wake up next morning, my mom watched. I watched your stupid video. I didn't realize it was retarded.
Or
I love your mom.
now.
The key at the very top.
Like, I'm gonna send it to you right then and there.
That's
Person used to. Yeah, it's person.
Oh, person.
Yeah, you didn't write
So
down
you
the
gotta
number.
write down your tense, voice, mood, person, and number. My
I said the editing from within light.
I use
What you want the number, I
One
mean,
of the
so it
students.
can be interchangeable in my head. That's where I'm like, wait.
I actually bought software that day because we was talking about it. I wanted to buy it and shop on my
Do
phone.
either way. Singular and plural are numbers, and first, second, and third are all numbers. Second, third person or
But
number.
I can't get.
Singular,
I think
plural,
we all
person,
know
or number.
Lazarus is your favorite.
They're
You give the
interchangeable, that's
answers
why I'm like.
right there. You told the no, and then Lazarus gets absolutely.
These are my favorite siblings.
I mean, it's, we haven't done it that much.
With the black.
I know, but
These are my favorite
they're
siblings.
interchangeable.
The stuff is on there. It's so weird.
Ava's not on there. That's the point.
I just.
Wow.
And then that, for me, was one.
We're getting up to that.
No, we'll be graduate school.
Yeah, we will.
So Olivia,
Okay.
so, sandwich forever?
Yeah, I don't mean like 600, it's.
How are you doing at it?
I don't know.
From natural and? Does
I
it?
don't know if I have to.
I don't.
That's me. What? Arrive.
Smooth.
Alright,
Anyway, yeah.
Ready?
And I could justify who it is. Don't look at that.
The lights off. You know how many times I've taught Greek with the lights off? I was just talking like, ah, she has a migraine. Like, that's right, sit down and be quiet. I'll take anything for the next hour. They loved it when I had migraines, actually. Made me feel terrible. All right.
Ooh.
Did someone say something to me?
Interesting thing.
All right, Kate, what is the lexical form of Luusin? Luo, very good. Sharky, what is the lexical form of Didoske? The lexical form. So how would we find this in dictionary? Didosko. Yeah, very good. So we would look up Didosko because we take that ending off, the epsilon iota, and replace that with an O because the lexical form for a verb is always going to end in O. Right? Olivia, lexical form of doxadze. Doxadzo, very good. Matthew, piscue. Piscuo. Good job. Rogan, doxadze. Noah, didoske. Good. Jada, Luusin. Ben, akuete. Emily, pistuamen. Caitlin, hetoimazamen. Hetoimazo, very good. Gloria, kuamen. Brother Stephen, lue.
Lua.
Brother James, baptidze. Henniger, age. Sorry. Ago. Right. So in the dictionary it will be ago. Very good. All right, Brother Henniger, pimface.
What is it?
Pimface.
Yep.
Pemfo. So we have
Pemfo.
that verb ending still on there. Very good. Harley, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes. What would the lexical form of graphace be?
Grapho?
Grapho, very good. And is
Isaiah's there too.
Isaiah's here? Isaiah, can you hear me?
There we go. Hello?
He's quiet, yes.
Yes, you can hear me.
Okay.
Can you tell me what the lexical form of lepace would be?
Blepo.
Lepo, very good. All right, so do we all understand lexical forms now? How we would find the lexical form? Yes? Good, very good. Very glad to hear that. So we have the lexical form. So if we are parsing, whenever you come to a word, it says translate the following sentences. This means parse and translate. Okay, you're not just gonna write you see, you write, you're gonna write PAI, third person singular, whatever else it is. Okay, so we have to parse and translate. Why is that important in translation to do so many steps? Even though we can clearly look at blepees and know that that means you see, why do you think it's important for us as translators to go through each step to make sure that we have tense, voice, mood, person, number? Context. Ms. Teresa?
It changes the word.
It changes the word, yeah. What else? The meaning. Anything else, Brother James?
You have to, in the language you're translating to, you have to have it, all those things, you have to have all that information.
Yes, that. Yeah. Also, translation, you just have to be very thorough with everything. We believe that every word of God is important, right?
Mhm.
And not just the word, but every part of that word is important. So if God said you see, we want to translate it to say you see. If God says you are seeing, we want to translate it as you are seeing. I'm helping write a book right now. Silly. It's not silly, it's a good book, but I feel like I'm a silly person for helping with it. But one of the chapters I was just writing on is talking about the importance of translating exactly how God wrote it, because it is so important. If we can say it in our language exactly how God wrote it, don't you think we should do that?
Yes.
And now we understand that sometimes we have to add in words, and that's where the King James translators added in italics. And sometimes that has to happen so that we can understand what's being said. I was talking to Ms. Stark today. It has to be understandable to the readers. So there are some Greek verses that if we translated it and left it exactly in the sentence structure that it is in the Greek, we would read it and be like, what? You know, so like that whole verse where it's like, Paul says, the things which I wish to do, I do not, and that which I do not, that I wish to do, and that I do, I wish I did not do, and all of that, that's confusing to us. But that is the clearest that it can be in our language. And I am so thankful that the King James translators didn't just be like, let's toss that one out and reword it to make it easier for us to understand. Because it really, if you take the time to meditate upon it, it's understandable, isn't it? Yeah. So all I'm saying, it is very important that we have each of these steps. I know it's tedious, and as you memorize, it's like, this is silly, I'm wasting my time. But it is very important. When we are translating the Bible into the language that we're working on, we will go through word by word and do this very thing. And it's going to be tedious. The project I was working on in April with the team there in the country, they had pieces of paper where they were handwriting every single verse of the Greek and parsing it word by word. I'm hoping for our team we can use more electronics but they're willing to do the tedious task to make sure it is exactly how it should be. So that's why this is important, okay? That's my soapbox on the importance of being thorough, okay? So don't just view this as pointless. There is a point to it. All right, so we will have tense, voice, mood, person, and number. And then we will have the lexical form, and then we will have the translation. Okay, so we would translate blephase. How would we translate that? What would we say? Not I see. You see, right? Why is it you see and not I see? Because it's ace, which means you. Very good. All right. Can I get a volunteer? Kate, will you come up? Will you please parse and translate the next word? Can you read that word for us? Graphes. Tense, voice, mood, person, number, lexical form, and English translation. I'm sorry. Good, thank you. All right, so Kate says that graphes is present, active, indicative, second person singular. Do we agree with that parsing?
Yeah.
Yes. She says that the lexical form is grapho. Do we agree with that? She says the translation is you write. Do we agree with that? Very good. All right, can we have Matthew? Can you come up? And please parse and translate oo and face. You have 2 words, so congratulations. But you don't have to parse oo because there's no parsing for that. Lexical form? Very good. All right. So he says the parsing of oop and pace is present, active, indicative, second singular. Do we agree with that? Yes. From Pempo. So something he did here is he added in the lexical form the "u," so that negation, you don't have to do that when you identify the lexical form. And so we would translate it as "you don't send." I got several text messages this week. What do we do with the "u"? How do we include that in the translation? Because what this would read, if we translated this exactly as it is and didn't smooth it out to follow English, it would be "not you send." We don't talk that way, do we? We not talk like that, right? And so we had to change it around a little bit. So we would say "you" because in English we have the subject first, then "do not" because then we have that part, and then the verb "send." So "you do not send," to follow the English sentence structure. Very good. All right, any questions over this so far? No? Okay. Now we're just gonna do some on here. All right, Harley, can you see the board?
Yes.
Can you please parse and translate this verb for us? Tell us what it would be.
It would be a present active indicative. First person singular. The lexical form would be lepo, and the translation would be I see.
The
Translation.
only,
Sorry.
What would the translation be?
I see.
I see. So you have the C is correct. Everything was right except for the person. You said it's first person.
Singular.
So first person singular would be O. So what is the person for ace?
Oh, it's second person singular.
Yes.
Okay.
So how would we translate that?
You see.
Yes, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Isaiah, can you do this next one for us, please?
Yes, ma'am. It should be about baptizo or baptiste.
Baptizo would be the lexical form.
Right. Okay. Translation is baptize, or I want to say I baptize.
So can you give me the tense, voice, mood, person, and number for this verb?
Present tense, active voice. The mood would be indicative.
Yes.
I want to say it's second person, singular.
It is not second. You think O, ace, A, amen, eta, usi.
Oh, third person.
Third person singular. The lexical form you said is baptizo. So what would the translation of this be?
I don't know what third person is. I want to say we baptize. Or
Third person, it will be he, she, or it.
oh, okay. He baptizes.
He baptizes,
Possibly.
yes.
Okay.
And of course, you will depend on the context if it is he, she, or it. You know, if it's talking about ladies, obviously you'll say she, but very good.
Okay.
All right. Ben. So can you give me the tense? So "u" you don't have to parse. It's not a verb. Okay, but can you parse "ue" for me?
So we got past.
We haven't learned past tense yet. I don't know what the pretense is not. Present, yes.
Present, active, indicative, first person.
Do your arms. Third person.
Fourth person.
Third person.
Singular or plural? Singular. Blue. Luo. Good job.
In translation, not.
of oo is not. So no, not. What would lue be? How would we translate lue? So third person singular is going to be what? I, you. No. A is he, she, or it. Third person. Singular. Duo is loose or destroy. So he does not loose would be the translation of this. Okay, does that make sense? How can I help you? You don't know. Okay. If there's something you can think of, let me know. All right. All right. Emily, can you please parse this one for us? First, can you read it for us? Very good. Here. Very good. All right, Brogan, can you please parse this for us? Can you read it for us? Very good. Singular or plural? Plural. Not here. Very good. All right. So any questions about what we went over today? Okay. So your homework for this week is to do numbers 4, 5, and 6 in chapter 1. Okay, so parse and translate each sentence, each word. All right, so 4, 5, and 6 on page 24, top of 25. All right, if you have homework from last week, can you please tear that out and pass it to the middle?
No, wait. You're the wrong page.
Huh? It was just 1 through 3.
That's what I said.
On the board, it said 4 through 7.
She said ignore the board.
Yeah, I said ignore it.
I told you.
Hey, you know what? Hey, you're ahead. I can send you more homework if you want. I would be glad to do that. So you don't have any homework this week. Congratulations. Overachiever. Just rip it out. Fine. All right, pass it in. Thank you. All right, so if you finished it, just listen up. If you did the homework from all of it, congratulations. Just spend some time this week going over the material. Review the paradigms. Do the homework again. Okay, if you're still struggling on how to parse and translate all of this, do it again. Okay, if those of you who did 1 through 11, if you do all of this over again, I'll give you an extra point on your vocab quiz from today. Okay?
Does it ever matter if we mix up, if we just switch the order of person and number? Does that, when we parse these?
It's okay in here if you do that. Some teachers are going to be very strict and be like, no, it always has to be the same order. But for this class, if you mix it up, that's fine. As long as you have all 5 of those parts that are correct.
As long, well, if we write out singular or plural versus, or it's just first, second, then would it still matter?
If you mix them up, it's fine.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? All right, yes.
What's the tenses?
Tenses, we only know present tense. So just keep.
So were we supposed to parse like the words?
Yes.
Not just.
Yes, yes. All right, anything else? All right, you all are doing a wonderful job. I'm very proud of each of you. Who would like to close us in prayer today? Ben would. And Ben, please pray for me and the Summit pastor and Miss Melody and Mariah. And our friend Haley as we're preparing to leave for India next week. We have a lot to.
Here, process.
We will have class next week, yes. While I'm in India, we won't have class, but I will have a packet for you guys to work on.
Is it a big packet?
Oh, it's gonna be big.
Does it have to be here?
I don't care. That's up to Mr. Stevens. All right, then go ahead and pray.
Lord, thank you for this day. Lord, thank you for the opportunity to come to your house and meet with you, Uncle Adam, and Buddy, and Ryan, and please keep safety in there. Lord, please let us have a good service in your house tonight. Lord, please let us get our homework done.
In my second year, we basically did this for all of first year.
There's gonna be